Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host, Barrett McDonald. I'm joined today by Richard Landzaat, President of SUMA Financial. Richard, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you get things kicked off a little bit about who you are and what got you started on your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, sure. So like you said, my name is Richard Landzaat. I'm President and CEO of SUMA Financial Services. We are a small accounting firm in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. I wear multiple hats. I'm also a commercial real estate agent, and we run a couple of other businesses that maybe we can talk about a little later. But yeah, my passion is accounting and real estate.
That's fantastic passions. They go hand in hand for
Yeah.
sure. And
Yes, exactly.
ever changing markets all over the place as well with
That's
both of
right.
those topics, which is
Definitely.
fun. So you've been a business owner for a little bit of time now. What would you say, in accounting, is one of the major misconceptions that business owners come across and that are perceived, and what do you do to combat those?
Well, there's a few of them, but the primary one I think is that they think it's all sunshine and roses. That you are in
Yeah,
the business, you're your own boss, so you get to call the shots. You can come and go as you please, and as an entrepreneur, you know that is not true. You end up working probably more time in the business and managing the business than you actually do in a 9 to 5 job that you might otherwise have. So
right.
it's definitely not for the faint of heart. You tend to work longer hours and put more into it. But you know what? In the end, it's fun. I really enjoyed doing it, and yeah, I enjoy doing it.
That's fantastic. So when you think back to when you first started bringing staff and employees on, what has been your biggest learning curve in going down that path?
Yeah, staff is primarily, so as an accounting firm, your staff are your greatest assets and your greatest liabilities. So if you don't hire right, then you could be in a mess. You could be doing all the work. So
Right.
finding that key employee, those right key employees that understand what they're supposed to do, that are committed to the company, loyal, and have a good work ethic. Those are the key people that you want to hire. We've been fortunate. The majority of the people that we hire, we know right away whether they're going to fit or they don't, and that's why you have a 3-month probationary period. But we tend to look for that. And the single biggest item I look for, which funny enough, is common sense. Because if you're empathetic for a customer, you have the common sense, then we can teach you the basics of what we're doing, accounting, like bookkeeping.
Right.
But if you can't work through something, even with the bare, minimal amount of common sense, like right and wrong and empathy for the client and those type of things, then it's tough. And you have to get rid of those people quickly because one, they could be detrimental to the business because our employees are our greatest asset. But then culture too. You want to make sure that they fit into the culture.
Absolutely.
So,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. So when you think about those qualities that you're looking for, are there any others that you look for when you're bringing staff on?
Well, obviously in accounting, we want them to have an accounting background
Sure.
even that is subjective because, you might get and we do have CPAs on staff, but we're primarily probably 50 to 60% of our revenue is just basic bookkeeping. So we do a lot of bookkeeping for clients, and then we'll do fractional CFO and fractional controller. And as a young CPA coming out of firms, they don't understand bookkeeping. I myself did
Right.
not understand bookkeeping. After graduating with a CPA, you think, hey, or a CA, you think, great, I know everything about accounting. Well, accounting and bookkeeping are different. So for us, we really want them to have a clear understanding of bookkeeping first and then accounting second. And then it just depends on what we're hiring for at that time. So if it's a bookkeeper, we need them to have bookkeeping experience. If it's controller or CFO for hire, then we need them to have business experience.
Right, absolutely. So when you think about the growth that you've been experiencing, what's the main thing that you attribute to that growth?
Uh, Again, it goes back to the employees. But early on, anybody that gets into business early on thinks that, oh, I got a great idea. And I'm going to be successful from day one. Well, no, you're not. Like it takes a lot to build a business, regardless of what it is. Same with accounting. It takes a lot to build it. So when I left my employment, because I was in the industry for a long time and then left my T4 job to open up SUMA, I had one client. So then you just do a good job for that client, and that client's going to refer you. And then maybe you get a website and you start doing some search engine optimization and start getting some referrals. And then you got 2 clients and maybe 3 clients or 10 clients. So it's a gradual growth, a lot more gradual than I thought it would be. I thought, oh, I'm going to be super busy all the time, but it's good because then you can plan out a little bit. You're not, and especially in accounting, so many employees and you get one more client and you can't facilitate that one extra client because everybody's busy. So then you got to go out and hire somebody new for one client, but then you're going to build that book. So it's the catch-22. Do you need that employee right away or do you wait? Anyway, it's tough. So employees are number one for sure for growth. But then it's also doing a great job for the client because then they're going to refer you. So then with referrals and in accounting, a lot of it is referral.
Absolutely. So you touched on before we jumped on the recording about how you and your partners have a couple of other businesses. What are some of the traits that you look for in those businesses when you're looking at acquiring them?
So what we've done is we've been very niche focused. And our niche is because my partner is in real estate. I'm in real estate backgrounds. Both of us worked together in a real estate company prior to this. He's in development, I'm in accounting. So we look for construction related businesses primarily. And then they have to cash flow. And so we're buying and then building. And we look for that. So positive cash flow, niche focused, and then anything applies. We go into it, we probably turn down 9 opportunities and buy the 10. Because we're very focused, certain level of EBITDA, certain level of cash flowing that's required. Important enough, do they have a good team? So we go back to employees. We look at the employee roster that the company that's being sold to us have. And we don't want the owner to have really a big input into the day-to-day running of the business currently. They might have in the beginning and they built this up over time, but we want them to have built a team that they can kind of step away from it because we're not stepping into it. We need a good, solid general manager, good cash flow, and and if it's in our niche, that's what we're looking for.
So over your experience, would you say that systems-based approaches are a key to a winning business and team?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you need the right people for the job. So for example, countertops, that's one of our companies. We need carpentry type people that understand how to run a saw and work a machine and build a product. So they are, but it is process focused. You have a manufacturing system, you run the production through the system. So everything has to have an SOP. And then with that SOP, you need the right people to facilitate it.
Fantastic. So when you're thinking about the demands of how busy you are with multiple hats on at any given moment, what are some of the tricks and how do you find yourself balancing the demands of running a business and having a personal life on the side? Or a personal life first and a business on the side? Some people look at it differently.
Yeah, and you know what? It is a hard challenge to stop working in the business and just working for the business and in the business and just managing the business. And when I'll look at the acquisitions because my wife is constantly saying, what another one? Like, why are you doing this? But for me, if the systems are in place and the people are in place, the time commitment for me is in the beginning. It's doing the deal, it's doing the due diligence, it's working through getting the financing. And then when we close, I hand it off to our operations team in our company, Portavia, and the operations team of the on-site people. So unless it's a lot of accounting, which I have controllers and bookkeepers on staff that do it, so I'm not even involved in that, my time is minimal. So we might have a bunch of companies, but my actual time commitment day to day is minimal in those companies. Month end, maybe doing financial reviews with the team, bi-weekly meetings, for an hour. But we can run multi-million dollar companies with only a few hours of activity in the run of a week.
Absolutely.
Now, SUMA, the accounting, that's different. And real estate is different, especially when you're working on a deal. And I've done this before. And my wife loves showing me pictures where we're walking through Portugal and I got a phone to my ear because when you're doing a deal, you have to do the deal. You can't stop. You know, if a client calls you at 8 o'clock at night because something went wrong and we're closing the next day, well, you got to take that call at 8 o'clock at night. There's nothing you can do except take the call. But you offset that. You set limits, you set priority, family priorities. You say, okay, you know what? Sunday's my day off. I turn my cell phone off. All my clients know they can't get me on a Sunday. Or you just compensate. You take, you know, an extra day off when it's not busy, or you take an extra long weekend when it's not busy. So there is give and take. And especially for any accountant in public service, you know that January till June, you're flat out. We're working 50, 60-hour weeks, but then the summertime, you can take the Fridays and the Mondays off and enjoy it. So it is a balance. It's not like a 9 to 5, definitely not. And maybe even sometimes there's weekends work, but then you get the extra time off when it's not busy. And because you are the boss, you can pick a holiday when you want. I'm going to stay home today because it's not busy.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you look at your balance as a 365-day calendar and not a 7-day week.
No, I mean, you have that luxury when you're an employee of a corporation or a company and your job is 9 to 5 or midnight to 8 in the morning, whatever it is. And then your time off is your time off. It's different as an entrepreneur. You really have to be flexible in your scheduling, in your work weeks, and your family has to be flexible as well, because you might be working evenings and weekends, but then you compensate by taking time off in it and taking good vacations too, like really taking a vacation and kind of sitting back and enjoying maybe the cocktails on the beach.
Absolutely. And the scenery, and not just working from a different location, actually taking a vacation, right? Which is key. So when you think about over your last number of years, if you were to start any one of the businesses all over again, what would you do differently the next time around?
Not start them. Just kidding. If I knew then what I know now, it would be different expectations of what growth meant and different expectations of time commitment, those things. But would I start them all over again? Absolutely. And I really look forward to the next purchase, the next acquisition we do. And I'm hoping that there'll be many more. Some things that you do different, you know, maybe look at systems a little bit. We did that in SUMA. We were paper-based, we were computer-based, like staff had to be in the office because they had no other choice.
Right.
And then technology, we started looking at technology. How can we do things different? How can we make it easier? And we did a whole paradigm shift and went from paper-based desktop version of accounting systems to cloud-based paperless systems, like complete, and did it prior to the pandemic, which was cool. But just understanding technology better and how can you make your job easier. You know, phones these days you can have your scheduler, you can have take pictures of receipts now that can go into an accounting system. Like there's so much tech out there. I would want to have understood that better, how I can make my life easier by understanding technology and hiring the right people sooner. And you get into obviously as an accountant, you look at cash flow and all those things, but you can't do everything all the time, and hire good people at the right time. And you can see better growth because of it.
Absolutely. Fantastic outlook. And I think that's echoed throughout a lot of people in this series is just, I wish I had hired the right person earlier and gotten over that step and systematized as quick as possible.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. And be purposeful with your calendar. So I think that's a great summation of things. So Richard, last question I have for you. You've got someone watching this series at home thinking about starting or acquiring a business. What's one solid piece of advice that you have for them?
Come see me. If you're thinking of acquiring a business, get professional help. And I don't mean that, well, maybe I do mean that mentally as well, but do get professional help because I thought I knew everything in this last acquisition that we went through. We hired external help and they more than saved us based on their fee. So definitely hire professional help. If you're thinking of starting a business, then go in with an open mind that you might have a great idea. You might have a great like a service idea or product idea, but just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's going to be successful overnight. If it's your passion, great. I'm not suggesting you don't go into business, but just go in it with a mindset that it's going to be hard work and it might be long hours, and your first company may not be successful, but keep trying, because you're going to hit it. And if you got that entrepreneurial blood, you will eventually hit it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look in Google, Jeff Bezos, he failed how many times before he nailed on the right thing? And look at what persistence can do for you, right? So,
and I can be honest, like my wife and I have gotten into businesses that have failed, like hundreds of thousands of dollars gone, but they make up for when you do it right. And it's making them right, hitting the ones that do right. And it's not because it's luck, it's because of the experiences and the education and all the everything that you've learned in business. It's not luck, because you're applying all of that to the new business. Even understanding the mistakes made, you're applying what you did wrong to the new business. So failures are just as important as successes sometimes, because then you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. We have a saying with action coaches that you have to learn before you can earn.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and there's no greater teacher than failure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. If you ride your bike right the first time, you're never going to learn how to ride it the rest of the time, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, Richard, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know that there's going to be a lot of folks watching this that take something away. So thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one. Cheers.
Thanks.